Alright, you're good.
Oh, thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
It's recording. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Had to double check
I'm
that.
gonna text him before.
Go. All right. So our topic is men as creators / progenitors.
Me too.
Oh, sorry. Before we go into it, this is the introduction to this. A quick look at the role of men in Frankenstein. Who drives the story forward? It is all the male characters: Victor Frankenstein, Frankenstein's father, Henry Thurlow, and Walton. So the men of Frankenstein, they live in this Victorian patriarchal world, and so they have this imagination of life being dedicated to control, knowledge, and adventure. We see Dr. Frankenstein wanting to create life from death, and Walton is seeking to reach the North Pole. They have these epic lives and whatever. But women tend to be nurturing and supporting roles like Elizabeth, Caroline, Justine, Margaret, etc. So, is it surprising? I know. So, is it surprising that men would take on the role as creators / progenitors in the novel? It's not a surprise because men, they're in this patriarchal world. Of course, someone's going to portray them as creators.
Alright, so here I kind of came up with this question as I was reading myself. Is Frankenstein the creator but not the father, or the creator and the father? So I have two different quotes. First one, where he's watching the family in the cabin, and he says, "No father watched my infant days," but yet at this point, he knows that Frankenstein created him. And then a couple pages later, it says, "I learned from your papers that you were my father." And so it kind of brought up that question in my mind, because it's really this huge inconsistency when you think about it. Like, you could easily skip over, but when you really stop and think, like, the creature knows in both situations that Frankenstein created him. So, like, is it because he learned after reading Frankenstein's notes that Frankenstein maybe had this emotional connection when he was creating him that made him think, oh, maybe he actually is more of a father figure to me, or if he's not just simply a creator.
And this is Dr. Frankenstein, the creator, relating to God. First of all, I have some quotes here. "Oh, my creator, make me happy. Let me feel gratitude towards you for one benefit." This is obviously the creature talking. And also, "Accursed creator, why did you form a monster so hideous that even you turned from me in disgust? God in pit made man beautiful and alluring after his own image. My form is a filthy type of yours, more horror even than a very resemblance." So obviously, the creature here is viewing Frankenstein as God. And we also see the creature as Adam, which implies that Frankenstein is the god in this situation. So like Adam, I was apparently united by no link to any other being in existence, and so on. And also, I remembered Adam's supplication to his creator, "But where was mine?" So we see that the creature related Frankenstein to God. Like twice. Yay, okay. So Dr. Frankenstein, the not-so-perfect creator. We see imperfections in Frankenstein. These are the same quotes, except I underline different things to show you the flawed part of him being God. "Let me feel gratitude toward you for one benefit," meaning there's only one good thing coming out of this. "My form is a filthy type of yours," meaning the reflection between Frankenstein and the creature didn't actually exist. But I was wretched, helpless, and alone. And also, "But where was mine? He had abandoned me, and in the bitterness of my heart, I cursed him." Cursing someone's not a good thing, so. What can I say? Oh no, this is still me. Okay, so what happens when man takes on the role of God, the creator of life? Two more quotes for you guys. "How can I describe my emotions at this catastrophe, or how alienate the wretch whom with such infinite pains and care I had endeavored for him to form, and the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart." So this is from Frankenstein's perspective after creating the monster. He's in disgust. So obviously he is disappointed in what he's created. And to take women into this a bit, perhaps women take on the role of God a bit better. Because in this quote, one of the first results of those sympathies, meaning this is after the monster asked for a woman companion, of those sympathies for which the demon thirsted would be children, and a race of devils will be propagated, meaning when they bring a woman for the creature to be with, that will continue the race. Because honestly, the monster alone will eventually meet his death. But because when they add a female into there, that will actually continue the race. So that's why Dr. Frankenstein decided against creating a woman for the creature, danger because they know that once women are involved, the life of the monster will be continued.
Alright, so responsibility of the creator. I know one other group kind of touched on this. So there's definitely a responsibility that a creator has towards its creation, but how far does that responsibility really go? Rosenberger here is from a literary analysis. She's a student at Gettysburg College, and she suggests that the creature has responsibility to ensure that the creations do not become monsters and to ensure that they succeed in life. Well, where did Dr. Frankenstein ultimately fail in this? Because we've agreed that he didn't really take responsibility for his creature's actions, but he did give the creature everything that he really needed to succeed in life, like to live on his own, to survive.
This is kind of talking about how Frankenstein, when he was younger, grew up like studying the men of science, and there's a big emphasis on men of science. So he studies Cornelius Agrippa, Albertus Mangus, Paracelsus, and then he goes on to mention Newton and the theory of galvanism, which is the theory of electricity being produced by chemical reaction. It's kind of talking about lightning in there. And again, there's a strong emphasis on the men of science, and these men are creating this foundation of the science that we have built on today. So Frankenstein himself, as a scientific creator, he goes on to study at the university, and he starts like looking at these concepts of anatomy and philosophy and the process of decay, which is how he starts to create his own creature. And through the ideas of galvanism, which is the electricity being produced, he's able to construct his monster. And some of these quotes, he's saying he had selected his features as beautiful, saying that he's created all these things to be perfect, and like this, but it didn't turn out that way. And then he's talking about how he collected the bones and disturbed the human frame. So, and he also, when he goes to the university, he gets all of his instruction from his male teachers. There's never any like women professors mentioned. But like one of the main men teachers that was quoted a lot was Mr. Krempe, who was the male teacher of national philosophy. And he says, these were the men, those ineffable zeal modern philosophers were indebted for the most foundations of their knowledge. So again, there's an emphasis on the men. And he's talking about the labors of men of genius, which is another way to say the men of science who laid down the foundation of this. Yeah. Here we have an illusion of Paradise Lost. This isn't necessarily looking at the men as creators, but kind of more of the destructive nature of their creations. So when Frankenstein, the creature, killed William, he finds the locket around William's neck and looks at the picture, and he stops in awe because he's in all of the beauty of his mother, and he's kind of lost in that trance. And we see that in Paradise Lost, when Satan finds Eve for the first time and sees her and notices her beauty and stops for a moment to think about how beautiful she is. And in that way, it's talking about how they stop and think, and like then they go on to do what they've started to do. That like connection between Paradise Lost is like very prominent.
I agree.
All right, we'll finish I guess next slide.
We have